YouTube. Welcome back to the Malena Edit. I am so excited to be back on YouTube. I literally accidentally took the whole summer off. It was not intended, but it was much needed. I feel so refreshed, so excited to get back into this season with you guys. I love these weekly uploads and edits and getting to talk to you all. Yeah, week 1 of college football has commenced. Well, in a few here, I'm going to be watching Ole Miss Louisville. So I'm wrapping it up with my week 1 takeaways, and then I'll add some thoughts on that game into next week. But I'm so excited to be back. Let's get into 10 takeaways from the first week. So there's so much to talk about. I don't even too much time on the intro. Let's just jump right into it. All right, first main takeaway that I want to jump into, holy upsets, right? I mean, tons of surprises coming at us this week. I'm not putting much stock into it. I think that's important to note. I think that we're going to know what these teams are going into like week 3. I think a lot of teams needed to shake off some rust, but there's a lot of things still to discuss from that. Major takeaway number 2, if you're going to be a championship caliber team, you don't get to have rust. So obviously the only person that's in the lead right now is Nick Saban's Alabama team. Comes as no surprise. Every year we think maybe somebody else could take the reins. It looks like they are comfortably riding in first place. But again, not taking too much stock out of just week 1. Jumping into point number 3, Penn State, Wisconsin, a really hard to watch game. I did not have a lot of fun doing that. Ended up checking some emails during it. But my biggest takeaways from there, Jahan Dotson, wide receiver at Penn State, tight end Jake Ferguson from Wisconsin, 2 bright spots in that game. Very invested now into their draft stock. I don't know that I always notice that Penn State will have themselves a receiver, but I feel like the past few years, we've seen some guys coming out of there. So interested in Jahan Dotson, of course, tight end Jake Ferguson. I feel like there's always, the tight end class can just kind of be a bit of mush, but he is already early separating himself. That carries me right into point 4. This quarterback class looks like it's going to be in a little bit of trouble by comparison of the past few years. If you're already looking ahead to the draft, like I am, I definitely think we're not going to see the same level of QB1 talent as we would have in previous years. I think this class is a lot closer. There's a lot of mush. I think we're going to start to see those guys separate themselves towards the end of the season. But I think during the Penn State-Wisconsin game, that's when I kind of was like, I don't think this quarterback class is going to be that exciting. But we have more to see, right? Takeaway number 5 comes out of that Georgia-Clemson game. I didn't expect a defensive showdown, but we got one. And looking back in hindsight now, I kind of pay attention to those rosters, to the defensive coordinators, the head coach and Kirby Smart, and I shouldn't be surprised. But that was an interesting big takeaway. That Georgia front is rock solid. I feel like we're just going to hear repeated names coming from that group. And then DJ Uiagalelei and JT Daniels, right? We expected something more from JT Daniels in that first showing. Intrigued to see how he's going to pan out through the season. And DJ Uiagalelei, I'm very interested now, right? I feel like he has stuff on film that was a really strong challenge to start the season with that I almost think it's going to be to his advantage. We're going to be able to see him really learn and grow from those early on mistakes. It's big shoes to fill in with Trevor Lawrence leaving, right? But I'm more scared for what this guy is going to look like come November as he gets into late season. I think he's going to be a force because he had that early challenge. Takeaway number 6 is all eyes on UCLA. I don't have much to say about LSU. I'll kind of gather more thoughts on them as the season goes on, but kudos to UCLA. They're in a position to be able to take the Pac-12 South. I think they look like a good team. That USC-UCLA game is going to be must-see TV. I'm very excited for it. Also because I didn't really trust USC last year, so that's going to be a really great opportunity for this UCLA team. It's time for Chip Kelly to get this team to that point. Super intrigued by the Bruins this year. Takeaway number 7, all about Ohio State versus Minnesota. That Minnesota team put up a heck of a fight early in that game. I think it's more of, it reminded me sort of Ohio State, Indiana last year, where Ohio State just looked rusty and off. I feel like they were the rustiest team this weekend, if that makes any sense. Meaning, I think we're going to see them play up to the level of the talent that they have all over that roster in the weeks to come. I genuinely think they're going to glide right through the season, go undefeated, right into the championship, honestly. Of course, anything can happen, but I just think that they looked like they needed to smooth some things out and kind of really get all on the same page. Takeaway number 8, the first upset of the season, Virginia Tech and UNC. I'm very curious for UNC how Mac Brown gets Sam Howell back on track. He was argued to be, in that top 2, top 3 quarterbacks for this season. Without those weapons this year, he lost so many offensive pieces at running back and receiver. We obviously know that O-line didn't look that great. But point there, that Virginia Tech interior defensive line, absolutely incredible. I love to see that because it kind of just is like an easy pinpoint. These are some guys, these are some names to know. Interior pressure is so important in the NFL, but it almost is lacking and hard to find. So I think it's going to be critical as we enter draft season. Pieces like those are going to be easy go-to names. My 9th takeaway comes from my favorite game this weekend, Notre Dame at Florida State. Where do I even begin? Quick point on Notre Dame. I kind of wanted them to lose this game. One, because I was rooting for Mackenzie Milton, but also I just don't want to see them. It's just going to, in the playoff, it's going to get so boring. I feel like we could have knocked them out early anyway. I know that sounds so bad, but I'm just not looking forward to that. Eyes on Florida State, though, for this one, right? This is why we all love college football. Seeing Mackenzie Milton out there was just heartwarming. It was such an incredible moment. But beyond that, to see the level of which he was playing, he clearly had the hot hand, which is why his coaches kept him in there after Jordan Travis lost his helmet. Makes me curious, are we now going to see that quarterback battle come back up, even though Travis was selected, right? I just feel like he fought for every yard. His running backs, his receivers, it was so much fun to watch. And obviously, when we see these teams that have been down for a bit start to get competitive again, it makes it exciting as a college football fan. And the 10th takeaway, Ole Miss versus Louisville, is on tonight. I am super excited for that one. We'll have watched it by the time you guys are seeing this. But I'm rooting super hard for Ole Miss this year because they were one of my favorite teams to watch last year. I think they were so much fun. I can't imagine that they're not going to bring us that same level of play this year, but we all know last year was a crazy season, right? So I'm interested to see what 2021 Ole Miss is bringing us. That's it. That's all I've got for you guys for this week 1 takeaway. Holy moly, there was just so much going on. I'm still kind of processing it all and taking it all in. Super excited that football is officially back. I'm so excited. I really am so happy to be back.